Hello, it's Sammy here, and today I want to talk about three building blocks of sobriety. So let's talk about it. The first building block of sobriety is the mindset. The mindset is the foundations of foundations. It's very fundamental thing that you have to have before you even start this work. So you can watch this thing two ways. You can remove some destructive mindsets and you can instill new ones. So one of the common mindsets that people have who who have some kind of addiction is that addiction is a disease. And that is very destructive mindset because think about how you're going to feel when you say that you have a disease, and I can guess that you don't going to feel very motivating or good. When we say that we have a disease, it makes us feel hopelessness, and we're going to operate more from our survival. And but we don't want to operate from the survival, but we want to be in a state of creation. That's why we have to move the mindset that addiction is a disease. And if it feels hard to remove this mindset, just start to instill new information in your mind, then it will be easier to form new beliefs because we form our beliefs from our information. And then we can start to instill new mindsets into our minds. One of the really powerful concepts for sobriety is the becoming an athlete of sobriety. So think about how athletes approach their sport. They are very dedicated human beings, and almost everything that they do is linked to the goal of mastering their craft. And if you can approach your sobriety in the same way, then your sobriety will be guaranteed. It's just a matter of time. If you keep doing right things in a daily basis, then in some point you will break free. So yes, that's basically the mindset section. And also it's important to playing the long game, being very patient with your results, but being impatient with actions. And remember that it's not a sprint, but it's a marathon. So that's also really important mindset to have in this sobriety thing. So the second building block is identifying the problem. Maybe the biggest obstacle with people who try to create sobriety is that they obsess too much with behavior. And behavior is very surface scratch from the real problem. The behavior is not really the real problem in addiction. So in this process it's about identifying the problem to its roots, asking the right questions and understanding some basic principles that drives those addictive behaviors. So in this case you have to just know what you are looking for. Usually the seed of every addiction is trauma. So you have to learn to understand yourself and understand how trauma plays out in your own life, and then you can really identify the real problem. And the real problem is usually the pain that creates this need for addictive behaviors. and also what psychological need this addictive behavior fulfills. When you understand those two things and identify identified your problem to those two things, then the problem is not that hard anymore to solve. Even Einstein said that if he would have an hour to solve a problem, he would use 55 minutes to think about a problem and 5 minutes to think about a solution. When you really identify the problem, then it's not that hard to solve. It becomes really easy to solve. And then becomes the last building block, building the right systems that solves the problems in your life. When we have been identifying the problem, then we have to just build the systems in our lives that solves particularly these problems that we have been identifying. And also, if you are still in the identifying process, you can build systems that helps you to identify the problem. So you can also use this building block in a second building block. So let's say that you have been identifying the trauma that has been creating your addiction. Then you just have to use right methods that will heal the trauma. These can be like IFS therapy model, different meditations, yoga, EDM therapy model, hiring a coach or therapist, things like that. And also, when you have been choosing the right method, it's important to create really strong environment that will support your sobriety and helps you to heal this trauma. So this means that you take care of your physical health, you take care of your mental health, and you create a proper mental environment where trauma can heal. This means that you have compassion towards yourself, you have acceptance, you are loving towards yourselves, and also instilling right habits that supports your sobriety, like reading, journaling, meditating, learning to read your triggers, having some things in your life that inspires you and you love to do. And also you can remove things from your environment that supports your addiction. And that basically means how you can build systems that solves the problem of addiction. And also it's important to understand that there are some drivers that drives these addictive behaviors. These can be like trauma, low self-esteem, being criticizing yourself too much, having too loud inner critic, shame, not having direction in your life. Those things, they only fuels more of those addictive behaviors. So then just look at your own life and watch how these drivers plays out in your own life, and then build systems that solves those problems. And yes, that's basically my message for this video. And addiction is a very complex problem, but we can still try to simplify the process of overcoming the addiction. And these three building blocks helps you to clear out things and really helps you to understand where you have to focus on. And when you master these three things, then in a matter of time you will break free from the addictions. It creates really strong foundations for your addiction work. So have a proper mindset, identify what is the real problem, and then build systems that solves those problems. So thank you for watching this video, and bye bye.